Hello everyone, Louis Hanzo here, and before we get this party started, I'd like to say thank you to the Saiyan Warriors for helping me reach 1,300 subs. Well, to be more exact, 1,318, that's 1,318 for those who prefer it that way. And honestly, couldn't do it without you guys. You guys are the real MVPs here. Now, that being said, I'm still a little new to the whole what if thing, so I ask for your patience and, well, for you to hopefully enjoy this. Now, where did we leave off? Oh, yes. In the previous video, in age 737, Bardock was destined to die. Yes, the lone Saiyan warrior who would face down a blood-parched tyrant for the sake of his people would die in that age. However, his visions of the future hit earlier. And what does this mean for Bardock? Well, of course we have the whole bit of Bardock thinking, maybe I should tell the people. We could band together, take down Frieza. No. He told Gine, his mate, the mother of his children. And together, they conspired to evacuate their young child Kakarot off planet. However, Gine decided that this young boy, he's going to need someone to guide him. Someone like his father. So, pulling a trick that would make Bardock very shamed, she pulled out a sedative when he wasn't expecting it and tranked him. I don't recommend doing that. But she sent father and son off planet and took his place in the Frieza! Frieza! bit that we know from DBZ Abridged. Now, it is age 749, and in the years that have followed their arrival, both Bardock and Kakarot have slowly acclimated to their new planet. And as the years pass for Bardock, his visions of the future have faded to nothing more than mere memories, despite Old Man Gohan's best efforts. The warrior dedicated his life to raising his son to be a better man than him, and to be a great warrior. This was done with the aid of old Gohan. Now, old Gohan didn't want Kakarot just to be some brute. So, much like in the canon, Kakarot is, he's pretty much like the Goku we know, but the name Goku? Nah, that never happened. As old Gohan was made very much aware of the Saiyan heritage and Saiyan name. So, that being said, Kakarot still grows up to be a bit like the Goku we all know. But, with someone like Bardock around, you know something's gonna change. Now, let's see where things go. Age 749, September 1st. Mount Paozu. A young Kakarot is running along a mountain path, a pair of giant fish tied together being dragged behind him. He's humming a tune his grandpa had taught him, and picked up the pace so his father would not scold him. And what is this tune he's humming? Well, for those of us who watch the anime, it's Chala Head Chala. Now, Kakarot's tail is twitching in, how we should say, fear at his father's scolding, playing out in his head, telling him that he's slacking off in his training, that he can't be a proper warrior. Shuddering, the boy hears a rumbling noise just before he is struck at full force by a car driving at maximum speed. Kakarot is then flying, and as he tumbles, he slams his palms into the ground and slows himself to a halt. His father would have been proud of his acrobatics, but thoughts of praises would have to wait. Who was this that dared attack him, the son of Bardock? Ow! came a mumbled voice from the overturned vehicle. What the hell happened? Kakarot took his stance and narrowed his eyes. Who are you? Why did you attack me? The girl pops her head up over the vehicle and levels a weapon at the boy before yelling, Who the hell stands in the middle of the road? Kakarot growls in annoyance, a habit picked up from his father before the girl opened fire. The bullet struck Kakarot dead in the forehead and dropped him onto his back as the girl screamed. She nailed him dead to rights. Not once, not twice, but a total of 4 times. Timidly, she slowly raised herself over the vehicle to look at the boy laying on the ground, covered in dirt and, well, bearing a nice little bullet mark on the forehead. However, before she could process the fact she just shot someone dead, Ow! That hurts! Yelled Kakarot, sitting up and holding his forehead. The girl jumped back, aimed her gun, and reloaded, and cried at him, What are you? I emptied the full clip! My name is Kakarot, and I won't let you take my food! Yelled Kakarot. My grandpa and my father are waiting for me to bring it home! Food? Asked the girl, lowering her gun. I wasn't trying to take your food. I'm trying to find something out here. Kakarot relaxed his guard a little bit and walked back to his fish while watching the girl, always keeping her in the corner of his eye. He then hefted his fish over his shoulder by the rope and then stopped. Grandpa Gohan always told him that whenever he met somebody, to be polite. To always greet them at least. More so if it was a woman. Kakarot stood there, thinking about it, and then scratched the back of his head and let out a sigh. Yet another habit he picked up from Bardock. My name is Kakarot. Sorry for yelling at you. Grandpa said to treat girls nicely. Sorry. The girl blinks at him for a moment and slowly lowers her weapon. She's still not sure if this boy is going to try anything, so just to be sure, she keeps her finger on the trigger. I'm Bulma? Sorry I shot you, I guess. But how did you get right back up? Where are you going? This last question is in response to Kakarot just starting back off the mountain path like nothing had happened. He looked back over his shoulder and called out, I'm going to my dad. Oh, hey! Why don't you join me and him for lunch? I think he might like to meet you too. To these words, Bulma went quiet, processing. And then her face turned crimson. A tough boy that can just heft heavy things and just take a beating and not be hurt? And he wants her to go meet his father? And join him for a meal? Thoughts started rolling around this girl's head as fast as a whirlwind. And Kakarot just turned his head sideways, not entirely sure what her deal was. And just called, are you coming? Still blushing, the girl nodded and took off in a run after him. You might be wondering why not take the car. Well, it's not exactly seeing the best of days after running into a Saiyan. It's actually being trained, so rest in peace, Bulma's car. Now, a little bit later at Grandpa Gohan's, and I guess by extension, the Saiyan's home, that time. So, in the years living on Mount Paozu, Grandpa Gohan never thought much about expanding his small home. I mean, it was big enough for an old man living alone in the mountains. Most basic necessities taken care of. He had food, he had water, he had a place to sleep. However, that changed the day a pair of refugees from the stars landed at his doorstep. Bardock, Grandpa Gohan said, looking at the sand. Have you ever considered that such a large cabin is a bit much? Bardock looked at the old man sideways and gave a You didn't have to sit in here if you didn't want to, old man. It's big enough for everyone. You got a problem with that? Gohan just gave him a wry smile and looked at the cabin. Not long after the Saiyans had landed on their planet, their destination, their goal, as it were, Bardock had set about building a basic shelter, a log cabin. And for those wondering why a log cabin, well, if you have a lot of the material on hand, why not? So, this large building dwarfs Grandpa Gohan's old home. And yes, I will continue calling him Grandpa Gohan. It was big enough for all three of them to live comfortably. But Grandpa Gohan just smugly smiles at him. Oh, there's no problem. I'm just a bit impressed that a man from the stars had built a log cabin on a different planet. Bardock shook his head, grumbling as he slipped his armor over his head. He just nodded at the cabin. He built that thing, so why not live in it? Besides, if not for his intervention, Gohan probably would have died under his son's transformed foot years ago. Bardock remembers the night that young Kakarot had stared up at the moon before transforming. Fortunately, Bardock was able to subdue his son without transforming himself. How? Even with an Uzaru 10 times multiplier, folks, Bardock has the edge. In fact, there's not really much going on that could threaten him. However, that's another story. Honestly, said Bardock tersely, just because I didn't start my life on this planet doesn't mean I'm incapable of such things. However, you did help a lot with it. You and Kakarot. Gohan nodded sagely and asked, where is the boy? Bardock took a look around him and sighed, scratching the back of his head. I sent him off to get some food for us. How long does it take to catch a few fish? He's getting double the training tonight. Gohan looked at Bardock and chuckled at him. I don't believe that is him right there. So spare him the double training, okay, Bardock? Oh? Is that a girl with him? Bardock turned his head in the direction the old man pointed, and sure enough, there was his son. And, true to Gohan's words, a young girl followed in his footsteps. Bardock just stared and growled in annoyance at the thought of Kakarot wasting time playing with strangers. The time he's wasting, he could be training! However, he and Gohan had no idea what this girl wanted and why she was all the way out here on Mount Paozu. So answers would have to come first.
Father? Grandpa? Yelled Kakarot. I brought food and a guest!
Around 5 minutes of explaining later, inside the log cabin. So, let me get this straight. You encountered this girl while out getting our food. She immediately tried to kill you and take you down without any mercy.
Yes, sir. She thought I was an enemy and used some kind of weapon. Yeah, she seems alright. Not that strong, though.
A girl who goes for an attack and shows no hesitation. I can respect that. Bardock soon got lost in thought, thinking of his home, Planet Vegeta. Oh, what is your name, young lady? Asked Gohan kindly.
My name is Bulma. My dad's the CEO of Capsule Corp.
Oh my, said Gohan, laughing. A bit of a celebrity, are you? Well, come have a seat. We're about to have dinner, and you must be hungry traveling all the way out here. Bulma blushed a bit. I mean, a young girl getting compliments on being a celebrity, of course she'd get a little embarrassed. However, her concerns were more for the young boy getting scolded by his father for wasting time out in the mountains. What was his deal? She thought. However, the thing that caught her eye more than the scolding parent was something sitting on a shelf, resting on a pillow of sorts. It was round, it was orange, and on it were 4 stars. We all know what it is, folks. But... Excuse me, young miss. By chance, are you interested in that trinket? I found it at the bottom of a waterfall ages ago. Bulma blushed at being caught staring and nodded at the old man. She explained that she heard an old legend on the news about 7 spheres that when gathered together would grant her a wish. And to prove her story, she reached into a pouch on her belt and produced a similar orb. Now, this stops Bardock's rant, and he actually turns and looks at it. So, what do these things do anyway? Each of them grant a wish or something? Bulma said, according to the story on the news, if all 7 get together, you get 1 wish. And how are you gonna find these things anyway? Bulma gave a big grin and pulled out the Dragon Radar. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it, kids. We all know what it is. She then demonstrated Dragon Ball locations and explained that she's been hunting them down. So they can grant wishes, huh? I wonder what they'll do. What their limit is. Young lady, said Gohan thoughtfully, if you were to gather all 7 and get your wish, what would it be? I doubt that it works, but I am quite curious. Bulma squirmed in her chair for a moment as the trio stared at her, and blushing, she says, a lifetime supply of strawberries? Bardock just stares at her coldly and shakes his head. He walks off muttering about a waste of time and effort. Gohan just looks at the man and chuckles at the girl. A lifetime supply of a fruit? Preposterous. How whimsical. But a fun wish nonetheless. He glances over at Kakarot, who is now drooling a little bit at the idea of unlimited food. So, tell me, young miss, says Gohan mirthfully, what would happen if you needed help finding them? These Dragon Balls, I mean. Bulma just kind of blinked at him for a moment and then said, help? What do you mean help? Well, I don't think there's any more of these things anywhere near here, but Kakarot over here knows the lay of the land. I'm sure he can help you find them. Bulma just looks down at the boy and looks back at the old man. Wait, she came looking for one ball, and she's getting a ball and a guide?
Jackpot! Yes, sir. I will happily accept any help you can give me.
Gohan just gives her a nice, kind smile and looks over at the father and son, discussing this whole idea of going out and finding the balls. Bardock long ago had told him that he had a vision of his son going on a journey with strangers that would become his comrades. Gohan felt deep in his heart that the time had come at last. As the old man stared at the boy, who has now decided to run off to his father to see about food. Because let's be honest with kids, and I keep saying kids, I know. But what is the one thing a Saiyan's known for? Their hunger. So as the two Saiyan men begin discussing their food, well, father and son Saiyan, Gohan just simply says, Kakarot, can I speak to you for a moment? The boy looks over at him and says,
Yes, Grandpa?
Gohan kneels down and puts his hand on his shoulder. Kakarot had become like his own grandson over the years, and now he must ask him a life-altering question. Tell me, my boy, would you like to go on a journey to see the world and find these Dragon Balls? Go on an adventure? The boy's eyes widened with wonder and glee at the prospect of going on an adventure. He had always stayed on the mountain with his grandfather and his dad, but never had he gone on a real adventure before. As he stared up at his grandfather, Kakarot paused and glanced over at his father. Bardock walked over and looked down at his son. And then he kneeled down and looked him dead in the eyes. A stern look on his face. Kakarot, I want you to go forth and explore this world. Learn from it. Grow stronger from your travels. And when you return, tell me everything. I want you to tell me if these orbs actually grant wishes. Kakarot nodded in affirmation, and he said energetically,
Yes, sir. I'll find out these orbs, balls grant wishes. Father? What would you wish for?
Bardock just stops. He had about to say something very stern to his boy, but he was left without anything to say. What would he wish for? What could he wish for? Maybe he could get rid of Frieza altogether. Maybe he could bring back the Saiyans. Or, at the very least, maybe he could bring back... He shakes his head and looks at the girl. Bulma, was it? Said Bardock, grabbing the Dragon Ball off the shelf. If you and Kakarot are going to go find these things, you two need to get going. Bulma just stared up at the man and took the Dragon Ball from him, and just stared at him as he walked away. Gohan looks at her, back over at Bardock, and just shakes his head. It seemed despite the years, he had still ways to go, but he was improving.
Is he okay?
Oh, Bardock. Oh, he'll be a while. He just gets moody sometimes. He's a hard man to read and harder to speak to sometimes, but he's a good man. Just don't let him bother you too much. Gohan smiles at her, knowing that if this was the same Bardock from 10 years prior, he probably would have just yelled the girl out of the building. But he was improving.
Hey, Bulma,
Interrupted Kakarot.
my father has a point. Let's get going. I want to go on an adventure.
And so, the son of Bardock went forth into the world. The presence of Gohan and Bardock in his life caused several small changes for the boy. He did not fall victim to his canon pitfalls and naivete. So, no patting people to check their gender. No shenanigans of oolong. The poor pig gets put in his place quite fast. And Boss Carrot, yeah, that doesn't fly. However, there's a few really noticeable changes. And that starts with a certain beach with a view of a pink house. Oh, this is Master Roshi, said the turtle, gesturing at the old man next to him.
Huh. Excuse me, do you know someone named Gohan?
Huh? Gohan? He used to be a student of mine. Why do you ask?
He's my grandpa. And he said if I ever met you, to ask you to train me.
Roshi blinked and then stroked his beard thoughtfully, looking at the boy. He appeared to be strong, but something was a bit off. Sure, the boy had a tail, and he didn't quite remember Gohan having one, but this kid had something more about it. Roshi's eyes moved over to the girl with the boy, and he mused how cute she was. Was she gonna try for being a martial artist too? So my boy, if Gohan is your grandpa, who is your daddy? I don't remember Gohan having any kids. And you, young lady, I think you want some training too. Kakarot just kind of tilted his head confused and says,
My father's really strong. He's a really strong guy named Bardock. He spars with me sometimes, but Grandpa's the one who trains me.
Bulma just kind of stared coyly at the old man and smiled at the orb hanging around his neck, occasionally coming out of the view from behind the beard. It says,
I'm not really a fighter, but how about that ball around your neck?
Roshi started for a moment and looked down at the ball. He found this thing on the beach years ago, but why would she want it? And then he just turns his eyes back over to young Kakarot. Who was this kid? He don't remember Gohan having a son? And this son is supposed to be far stronger than Gohan? Interesting. All the way around. Well, said Roshi carefully, I do need to repay you for helping Turtle here get back to the ocean. So, how about a reward? For the boy, I'll offer a great treasure, and the cute girl a reward in exchange for something small. Bulma just kind of tilted her head at the old man. What was he on about? Kakarot, on the other hand, was jumping up and down with glee. He was on an adventure, and not that long after starting, he's going to find treasure? Wow, his grandpa would be so shocked. Roshi, raising his cane, yells, Come to me, Nimbus! And sure enough, here comes a certain golden cloud. This right here is the flying Nimbus. It's a convenient form of travel. But it only allows to appear a heart on it. And, for you, girlie.
Yes?
Said a very worried Bulma as Roshi eyed her. He stared her up and down a few times as Kakarot jumped onto the cloud and began just flying free into the sky, doing loop-de-loops and everything. Bulma just started getting a very bad feeling. So, I'll give you the ball if you... And his face reddened. Show me your... Master! Interrupted the turtle. This is why you lost the ability to ride the Nimbus. Roshi turned and started yelling at the turtle to, just let, it happen. Just shut up. After all, living out alone with just, a turtle as a friend, he's entitled to something, after all. However, Bulma came to suddenly realize what old man Roshi wanted. Her face turned bright crimson, and before certain canon events could happen, Kakarot landed next to her, finally noticing the Dragon Ball.
Hey, Mr. Roshi! Is that a Dragon Ball?
It's Master Roshi. And, yeah, I just found this thing on the beach a while back. I know it was something called Dragon Ball. Roshi turned his head toward Bulma.
Could we have that as a reward? After all, we did save your friend.
Roshi looked at the two and, with a grin, he started his question again to Bulma. Well, maybe if you showed me your... Fortunately, the turtle prodded him into just handing over the orb. And as the duo flew away, Bulma on her craft and Kakarot on his cloud, Roshi just stopped for a moment. Turtle? Yes, Master? I think I need to write myself a letter to Gohan. What's that? It's been far too long. And the next event that changes is in Diablo Desert. For those of you who don't know what Diablo Desert is, it's the home to a certain scar-faced bandit. And like in the canon, during their journey across the desert, Bulma, Kakarot, and Oolong have encountered transportation issues. Their ride has become unusable, and they are now confronted by the certain Scarface bandit. Alright, said the bandit. Hand over your money, capsules, and any other valuables, and nobody gets hurt, man. Kakarot just kind of blinked at the thief and took a stance. His grandpa and father had told him all about people that would just attempt to take what they wanted just because they wanted it. Gohan had taught them to defeat them and mercifully spare their lives. Bardock, on the other hand, said to crush them. No mercy.
Only a coward,
said Kakarot, echoing his father.
Ambushes travelers for their money and their valuables, and cowardly thieves get a thrashing.
The bandit just looked at the kid with a smirk. This little brat was talking a good game. There was no way he could hold out against me, he thought. I'm a self-made martial artist. It's time this kid got a taste of the great Yamcha's Wolf-Fang Fist. Alright, kid. If you want to throw down, I'll throw down. You face the great Yamcha, and I will be the one to lay you low and take what's rightfully mine. All your money. As the two squared off, they began their brawl with a flurry of punches and kicks. As the two duked it out, Oolong and Puar had themselves a very comedic skirmish. For those of you who remembered this, nothing changes there. Alright, kid, said Yamcha, taking a certain pose. It's time for the finale! Wolf-Fang Fist! And as a flurry of blows rained down on Kakarot, the boy remembered sparring against his father. Bardock had been fairly merciless in their bouts, pulling back just enough not to overwhelm his son. And unfortunately for the bandit he was fighting, Yamcha was not even in the same range of speed as Bardock. With a yell, Kakarot parried the last hit of the attack and landed a twisting uppercut, yelling,
"Rebellion Fist!"
As Yamcha took the attack cleanly on the chin, flying backwards, he narrowed his eyes with anger. How dare this brat lay a hand on me? Oh, it didn't matter. He got lucky. Everyone gets one. The great Yamcha always wins. Hey, kid, nice hit, he said, wiping the blood from his mouth. But you needed more than that to take me out. Now it's time for you to be a good kid and stay down.
Hey! My name's not Kid, it's Kakarot!
Fine then, Kakarot. Let's see if you can keep up. Wolfang Fist! Kakarot just smirked. His opponent was nowhere near strong enough to beat him. He has this flashy move. He already got that uppercut he'd been working on. He landed that one easily. There's no way this guy can beat him with a technique that already failed to. Suddenly, Kakarot is rolling across the ground, holding his stomach. The only thing he can manage to eke out of his mouth is,
"What the?"
Yamcha stands there smirking. Kakarot slowly is pulling himself to his feet, gasping for air. Sure, the kid had parried his attack previously, but just changing how he performed the attack ever so slightly, but keeping the name the same, he nailed a clean hit. After all, everything was fair in a good fight. And judging by how the boy was climbing to his feet, it looks like it was time for round 2. Well, look at that, Kakarot. You're actually getting back up. Not bad. Well, one more time. Wolf! Fang! Kakarot grinned as Yamcha folded in half, his fist buried in the older man's stomach. As Yamcha's eyes bugged, he went flying backwards, rolling end over end, landing in a very disgraceful pose, but not the iconic one. As Puar floated over to check on his companion, Yamcha slowly crawled to his feet. What is this kid? He hits hard in a truck.
Not bad for a kid, right? Are you okay, Yamcha?
Said Puar worriedly. I'm fine. You shouldn't get cocky, brat. I'm going to show you how terrifying a bandit really is. Ah! Ah! As Yamcha leapt at him, Kakarot smirked and says,
"Yeah, bring it on! Ah!"
However, right before the two boys could land a single punch on each other, a certain voice catches Yamcha off guard.
Kakarot, what's going on?
Yamcha looks over, and sure enough, he locks eyes with Bulma. And for those of you who don't know classic Dragon Ball, Yamcha used to have a phobia of girls. To the point where he would panic and freeze up. Well, Kakarot lands a solid hit and sends Yamcha tumbling again. And as Yamcha hits the ground, the pieces of cannon fall back into place. However, much later, Yamcha sits in his hideout, rubbing his jaw.
Yamcha, here's another ice pack.
Yamcha grabs it and puts it on the side of his face. That Kakarot kid was pretty good. Got a good fight out of him. And it looked like he was ready for more. Yamcha just gave a big grin. You know, I guess even the great Yamcha needs a rival. And Kakarot, you seem to fit the bill. Now, the next events that really change don't come until, well, it's time to summon the dragon. Age 749, Emperor Pilaf's castle. Much like in the canon, Pilaf has managed to obtain all 7 Dragon Balls and called forth the mighty eternal dragon Shinron. And, much like in the traditional story, his attempts at world domination were thwarted by a pig. And his wish for panties! And for those of you who have not read the classic Dragon Ball, yes. That's basically what Oolong wished for. However, the events begin to really change, not with the wish, nor the fact that Kakarot goes Uzaru. No, the change itself comes from his father. Around that same time at Mount Paozu, Bardock walks outside his cabin and sits down with a pair of sunglasses on. He sits there quietly for a few minutes and then looks at the scouter in his hand. The saying should be close to dying, he thought to himself. However, as long as he only uses it briefly, take a chance to look around for power levels that might be out of the ordinary, listen in to see if there's any transmissions that are coming in mentioning Saiyans or maybe anything about Frieza. Bardock listens quietly, looking a little bit ridiculous with a scouter on along with his sunglasses. And for those wondering why the sunglasses, full moon, people. Can't go transforming now, can we? Anything tonight? Came Gohan's voice from behind him. Bardock grunted. Nothing for either topic. I'm gonna scout any signatures just in case. Of course. Just try not to stare at the moon too much. Gohan walked into the cabin chuckling and left Bardock to monitor. The younger man just grunted in reply to the comment, as if saying he knew more than anyone about what happens when he stares at a full moon. An Uzaru transformation. At least the kid's smart enough not to stare at the moon. Well, I hope so anyway. Mumbled Bardock as he started scanning for power levels. Noting that there were only a few that were any decent note. But definitely nothing that would be a threat to him. Maybe a threat to Gohan or the boy, but... He noticed suddenly that a power level suddenly just multiplied. The hell is this? What? It just went up by 10! A factor of 10! No. I can't, damn it! Bardock went back into the cabin, placed his scouter on the table, and suited up. Damn it. That kid was dumb enough to look at the moon. Gotta go deal with it. Gohan sighed as he heard Bardock set the scouter down and leave. Something must have happened for him to take off like that. As Gohan walked out, he noticed that Bardock's armor was missing. Something very important must be happening. As Gohan stared at the open door, the only thing he could mutter was, "Oh my, I do hope they're okay. Both father and son." Currently at the ruins of Pilaf's castle, as the castle crumbled, Bulma, Yamcha, Oolong, and Puar just stared in horror as Kakarot turned into a giant monkey and is now rampaging around destroying everything. What the hell was he? Some sort of monster? Alright, said Yamcha very nervously. We just need to take him down somehow.
What?
Screamed Bulma.
You're gonna kill him?
Oolong just grimaced a bit and said, I'm sorry, Bulma. Well, unless you have a way to talk him down, we're gonna have to do it the old-fashioned way. Bulma just stared up at the giant ape as he crushed the castle. Why did Kakarot change? What happened? I mean, all he did was stare at the moon, whispered Bulma. Is he a werewolf or something? Like a giant were-ape? As the words crossed her mouth, a large gust of wind erupted nearby, causing dirt and sand to just billow around. And through it, a voice mutters, Were-ape? Is that what you people call him? He's a Saiyan! Bulma turned and stared. Mr. Bardock? What are you doing here? Bardock sighed and scratched the back of his head for a moment. Now, how does he go about taking down his own kid? Especially about killing him. Maybe he could do like he did before and just knock him out with a good hit. Nah, he almost killed him last time. Maybe his tail? Or... Hey! Said Bardock tersely. You guys Kakarot's friends or something? Yamcha just stared at him for a moment and says, yeah! I guess you could say that. Who are you supposed to be, old man? Bulma just kind of winced and glanced at Yamcha and says, Mr. Bardock is Kakarot's father. Yamcha just glances over at Kakarot and then back at Bardock. I guess I can see the family resemblance. Shut up, idiot. Yes, sir. Fuar just pats Yamcha on the head.
It's okay, Yamcha.
Thanks, Puar. Bardock sighed one more time, just taking it all in. Alright, I want the whole lot of you to clear out of here, now! Get far away. I'll deal with the boy. He peels the sunglasses off his face and chucks them over his shoulder. You there, girl! Hold on to those.
Yes.
And as the party just stood there staring, Bardock just glares at him. I said to move it, didn't I? The party in unison, yes, sir, and ran away. And well, what came next? Well, can you say giant monkey deathmatch? Because giant monkey deathmatch. Although it was less of a deathmatch and more of a wrestling match. As a fully transformed Uzaru Bardock began to wrestle his son into submission. And how did he do this, you ask? Well, with the same thing that his eldest son would fall victim to. A full Nelson! And soon enough, Kakarot gave up the ghost. He passed out, and Bardock stood over his son and roared in dominance. Victory was his. The following morning, dawn breaks upon the dunes. And, as it does, Kakarot slowly opens his eyes, awakening to see his friends standing over him. They smiled down at him and celebrated his health. He was all right. He didn't have to be killed. However, it didn't matter what they were yelling about, because Kakarot's eyes went past them into the one man standing alone, staring into the ruins. The man turned toward Kakarot and gave a small nod. You alright, kid? Kakarot just smiled and nodded at his father.
I think so. I remember watching Pilaf summon the dragon, and I don't remember.
What do you mean, Kakarot? Apparently Yamcha the Great here made a big oopsie.
What this lug means, Mr. Bardock, said Bulma nervously, is, we got knocked out and Pilaf stole the Dragon Balls from us and summoned the dragon.
Wait, the dragon? So it's real? Wait, so did he do it? Did this Pilaf guy wish for world domination? What happened? Well, you see, Bardock looks at Yamcha. Well? Bardock does the same thing, just looking aside. Wasn't aware that stuffed animals could talk. That's new. You there, pig!
Me?
Yes, you. Do you know what the wish was? Well, Bulma just kind of looks away. So you do know what the wish was. Well, out with it. It is said that Bardock's response to the wish echoed for miles. A very resolute, "What?" A day later, back on Mount Paozu, Bulma is standing alongside Yamcha, Puar, Oolong, and Grandpa Gohan and Bardock, looking down at Kakarot.
So, we're going back to the city. You want to come with us, Kakarot? You're all welcome to come.
I don't think I'm really interested. Let's find out here, said Bardock. Well, I'd have to agree with Bardock. I'm not one for the city. Well, hey, Kakarot,
Yeah?
how about you and me have another go? You know, another sparring match. We need to get a little stronger. After all, I don't want to have to hold back.
You're holding back? Wow, you might be as strong as my dad!
Bardock turned his head at Yamcha at this. So you actually can fight, huh? I might have to have a fight with you. I don't think I'm that strong, sir.
Oh, Yamcha.
Bardock is quiet for a moment. And Bulma just says,
Well, I guess we need to get going then.
she reaches into her pouch and pulls out a capsule. Click, click. Boom. And well, it's hard to call them planes really, but an aircraft appears. And as the party begins to start boarding it, Bardock calls out to Bulma. Hey! Bulma, right?
Yes?
Your dad's like some tech guy, right?
Yeah?
Well, I got something from the look at. Bulma just kind of blinks at him, and she shows him some interest, hopping out of the plane.
So, what do you want to show me?
Bardock proceeds to take the scouter, his to be precise, the space pod, and little Kakarot's armor that he had from when he arrived on the planet. And he says, looking at Bulma, "Any way you can make something with this?" "The armor, precisely. I'd like to have, something for the boy when he gets older. And, maybe power for this thing," said Bardock, handing over to Scouter.
Wow, where did you get this?
Bardock just looks at her and says, "What if I told you I'm not from this planet?" Bulma just stops, dead, right there. No movement. Everyone just stares at Bardock, and then they look at Kakarot. And in unison, folks,
You're aliens?
Kakarot looks up at Bardock.
What's an alien?
Gohan just chuckles at him and says, "I'll explain to you later, my boy."
Okay.
Well, a lengthy explanation later, Bulma leaves back for her home, carting with her a bandit, a floating cat plush, a pig, and alien technology, with the promise to return with the fruits of her labors. And as the trio of men stood there looking up at the departing ship, Kakarot just asks his father one thing.
Hey, Dad?
"What?"
Do you think I can go on another adventure?
"Tell you what, boy. You land a good clean hit on me tonight. You can go on another one."
Alright! I'm ready to go right now.
"Tell you what, boy. We'll fight after dinner." "Oh my, I guess I better get started," said Gohan, walking back toward the cabin. And the two Saiyans smiled at each other and started off after Gohan. This is only but one of the adventures that young Kakarot would go on. But as for the others, that will be for another time. So, with that being said, folks, I hope you enjoyed this What If. It was quite a bit long, and honestly, there's plenty of exposition from yours truly. However, as I said at the beginning, I am still new to the whole What If thing, and I hope you enjoyed this. So that being said, folks, if you did enjoy this, please leave a like. Comment down below what you'd like to see next. And if you have yet to, I implore you to subscribe. And you see that bell notification icon over there? Well, I know I said it a few times in the video, but please unleash a wolf-fang fist on it so that you'll be alerted when new content is available. And I know content has been staggered lately, but given the current circumstances in the world, I wish you the best of health. And hopefully, I can deliver more content to you sooner. And with that said, folks, I'll see you all in the next video.